Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to a new edition of the Daily Debate. As usual, we're going to be tackling two main topics in tonight's show. The first of which will be regarding the latest meeting that took place between Amr Musa Ayman Noor and Khairat al-Shater. A lot of controversy, a lot of concern regarding this meeting, and from it we will be talking about the 30th of June protest, the planned protest by the rebellion movement. That'll be the first segment for tonight's show. The second segment will be Egypt's deteriorating economy. Now, under all the political developments or the political instability that the country is going through, the economy is still suffering many months on end so far. We're going to be talking about the repercussions of the planned protests as well on this economic state that Egypt is going through. But first off, let's tackle the first segment and the first issue of tonight's show. And to shed more light on this issue, we're joined here in the studio by Mr. Mohammed Farid, member of the Supreme Council of the Al-Masriyin Al-Ahrar Party, and also Mr. Joseph Nessim, head chief of the youth organization and member of the political bureau of the Front Party. Gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us. First off, Mr. Farid, how would you view this latest meeting that took place between Khairat al-Shater, Amr Musa and Ayman Noor? A lot of controversy, a lot of political attack was mainly taken by the media towards, and a lot of the opposition parties towards Amr Musa and the meeting that took place. How would you analyze this meeting?
Well, first of all, let's believe that, let's assume that this meeting would never be done unless there is the current situations we are facing right now. The meeting had taken place at Ayman Noor's house, and this is for sure shows that Ayman Noor is very close to the MB and their people. The MB, in my perspective, they asked for such meeting because definitely they are afraid, they are worried about what's going to be happening by the end of this month regarding rebellion movement and the movement in the upcoming few days. In normal circumstances, there would be no problem. The opposition and the government meet, but the problem is as follows: that Mr. Shater have no official title in the government. He's one of the key figures in the Brotherhood. That's with all due respect, yes, but he is not an official in the state, and therefore this creates the controversy. This means that there are a hidden or someone rules in the shadow, or some influential people who are working on the shadow, not in a clear in a clear situation. And this really is not a proper thing to be done in a political scene.
Yes. Well, Mr. Nassim, we were talking about this meeting, and maybe under normal circumstances it's not strange for one political figure to meet with another political figure, even if they're on opposing ends, because this is politics. It's about discussions and finding some sort of diplomatic solutions and ways out of any problem. However, this meeting was really frowned upon by many Egyptians and many media outlets, especially because June the 30th planned protests are coming up pretty soon. Do you think that there will be any repercussions because of this meeting on the June 30th protests?
Look, let me first start with the reasons. There is many reasons for not being a real thing to have a meeting with Khairat al-Shater. Even you are a member in the opposition, and you are a figure, not just a normal member. It's not. It seems to be something very fake. I think that Mr. Amr Musa is going to play an old rule, which we are all going to forget it. It's a closed rooms play. It's not a good play. We need transparency. In these situations, we need transparency. If you need to make a meeting, why you can't tell everybody? Why are playing secret games. Why? The revolution come to make everything clear. We need to be everything to be clear. We need to know what you are doing. It's not your decision, it's our decision. We are the people who can take this decision. The rules of the political game must be changed after the revolution. But Mr. Amr Moussa is still working by the old rules. He can't get rid till now from the old regime, actually. And I'm very sorry to say that. He's still working as one from the old regime. And it's a disaster. He must know very clearly, to be clear as crystal, that we hate the old regime and all his ways. No way to play the game by the old rules. That's number one, the transparency. Number two, the governing regime now is something from history. For the most of us, we deal with it as an occupation forces, not a regime actually governing Egypt. No, it's just an occupation, and we need to get rid of it as soon as possible.
Yes.
So no way to deal with this occupation.
Mr. Farid, do you think that the meeting that took place behind closed doors, as Mr. Nasim pointed out, do you think that it was mainly the political figures really reassuring each other about that the planned protests are not going to take place in a violent manner, it's going to be peaceful? Or do you think that there was probably a deal being struck between those political figures?
Well, in my opinion, if it's about making sure everything is going, will be going in a civilized way without violence and so on, why the hell they go in shadows? I mean, they can go into a press conference, public one, invite everyone to say, okay, we are assuring each party that we are going to protest in non-violent way, and we are going to be civilized. But this doesn't happen actually. What happened that they met in closed doors, and they have been actually they didn't want the media to know, they didn't want the public to know, and therefore there must be something were discussed there. In my perspective, that probably would be what are the scenarios after 30. What would it be? How can we reach some sort of settlement or agreement? How things are going to be? Probably some reassurance from the Brotherhood, and so on. Because in my perspective, I'm telling you that the Brotherhood, they're really scared of what's going to be done in June 30th.
Yes, Mr. Nasim, do you think that this meeting that took place between Amr Moussa Ayman Noor and Khairat al-Shatir, it really angered a lot of the supporters and followers of Amr Moussa especially, and Ayman Noor as well. Do you think that this will probably cause more division within the National Salvation Front and the opposition parties as a whole, which could affect the chances during their chances in the upcoming June 30th protests, and in turn the planned parliamentary elections?
No, I don't think so. In the National Salvation, they were very, very wise. They're very wise, actually. They didn't take a very strong action. Just enough. They just blame Mr. Amr Moussa and say that it's more than enough. Because the time is not it's a good time to make any divisions now. We need to be united as we can. Whatever, if we are not satisfied 100% from all the people in the National Salvation, but what can we do? It's the time now have its regulations, and we have to respect it, to to reach our goal, which is getting rid from this bad, very bad regime. I don't know what can I say about them, but just a very, very bad and more worse than the old regime, which we get rid of it.
Well, we know that the supporters of Amr Moussa were very angered by this meeting. How would you view the Muslim Brotherhood and the Freedom and Justice Party's view on such a meeting taking place between Khairat al-Shater and the heads of the opposition parties, especially that Khairat al-Shater is a very well-known figure within the Brotherhood and the Freedom and Justice Party, yet he doesn't really have an official legal political post?
Exactly. The thing, let me tell you something. If we had ever learned a lesson about the Brotherhood and the FG party, that they definitely know very well this meeting is going to be happen. You know the hierarchy there. You know they got strict hierarchy and order, and therefore definitely they know about the meeting. Definitely they sent Mr. Shater specifically because he's the strong man of the Brotherhood. He's one of the very influential figures in the Brotherhood. He's one of the people who, by the media got well known by the media and so on and so forth. And that's why they sent him with whatever deal or whatever message or whatever the purpose were to have this meeting. So they definitely know it. They definitely fully agree about it, and that's why we didn't hear anything from them from their side. I mean,
yes.
And also, I think they have two plans. I think. Sorry for interrupting, but I think they have two plans. The first plan, if Amr Moussa agreed them with whatever they need, I don't know what is, but I think it's something conspiracy or something. They will keep this meeting secret. But when they see that they will not get anything from him, they choose plan B, which go Mr. Ayman and tell the media. And I think Mr. Ayman is totally involved.
Well, if we actually focus on the rebellion movement and the planned protest on June the 30th, there are so many scenarios being played out in the Egyptians' minds. So many demands by the opposition, a fall of the regime, early presidential elections, also a referendum on whether the president should stay or leave is also an option. A lot of people are even expecting that it would turn very violent, and if the Ministry of Interior doesn't really work out the security issue within these protests, the army could intervene. There are so many different scenarios, and then there's a very different scenario saying that it's probably going to be some sort of a million-man march, the same one that took place on many Fridays over the past year or so. How would you view the next June 30th protest?
Definitely it will be a huge and different day in the Egyptian history. I believe that June 30th is going to be the first day of the liberation of Egypt. We're facing an occupation power. The regime and their allies had been very hostile to the entire spectrum of the Egyptian society on different levels. The Egyptian regime had applied collective punishment on the three canal cities. This is a war crime. So that's why we're saying this regime cannot stay any longer. We don't agree definitely about a referendum. This regime had affected badly the people living, pardon me, the living standard. People should be better off after the revolution. They are getting worse and worse. You can see that at the streets. You can see that at the economic indications and so on. So this regime must leave. They cannot stay any longer. So what's going to be happening in June 30th? From our side, we are going to have a demonstrations, peaceful one definitely. If there would be any violence, that would be responsibility of two sides, the Ministry of Interior as usual, and the allies of the regime, as we've seen today at the Ministry of Culture, their supporters came and had beaten the peaceful protesters there, and the other allies had sending several threats throughout the media about that there will be blood, there will be violence, people shouldn't go, and definitely this shows how much they are shaking, how much they are not on a concrete ground.
Yes. Well, Mr. Naseem, a lot of Egyptians supporting the opposition and against the current government. They're very hopeful of June the 30th. However, sometimes people do underestimate how much of a following the government already has, and some say that it's really magnified how much support the government has, and it's not really as big. And we've seen in yesterday's national conference regarding the Blue Nile how many Egyptians were chanting and supporting President Morsi. Do you think that there will be some sort of a strong support for the government and President Morsi that would really dampen the hopes of the opposition and the rebellion movement?
Look, at the end of the day, they are just an organization instead of the whole country. No one and nobody, whatever it is, can hold up a revolution from a total people, from a whole people, from a total country. It's no way. Whatever your organization is very big, very strong, well organized, no way to stand in the face of a country. We are 90 million. How much is your organization? I don't know. Actually, they are a secret organization. Muslim Brotherhood is secret international organization. No polls can tell us whatever their numbers. No, we don't know. How strong are their organization and how complicated, we don't know also. But whatever it will be, how much it will be, no way to be more than the whole country. I think June 30th will be a different day. I think it will be a revolution, a real revolution, after suffering for a long time from hatred. We have a dream. One day we have a dream, but we one day wake up, find it's not a dream. It's what? It's a nightmare. No way. It's not what we think about it. We think about liberty. We think about dignity. We think about human rights. We find the opposite thing. No one can come back.
Yes. Mr. Farid, there are so many issues on the political scene here in Egypt. Many social issues as well. The electric outages, the shortage of fuel. Recently, the building and the construction of the Renaissance Dam by Ethiopia that would affect of the Nile water. Many of these issues are actually contributing to the opposition and the rebellion movement and for people to go to the streets. However, a lot of supporters of the government and the regime, they're saying that there's a lot of work in progress that's being taken place. There are a lot of achievements. How would you say to that? What would you say to that?
Well, let's look at the past. There have been 1 year under Dr. Morsi's ruler. Tell me how many projects that have been established or achieved. What are the achievements? Let's look at the economy in general. For example, the national debt was $1,155 billion Egyptian pounds. Within a year, it had increased with about 380 billion Egyptian pounds. If Dr. Morsi kept the same base, by the end of his term, that we'll have a doubled national debt. This is a disaster. And this national debt, where the money gone? Tell me about the services we are getting. These are taxpayers' money. These are money for small savers in the banks, and for what? We got actually nothing. The Renaissance Dam. It's really pathetic to hear about that. I'm sorry for using such a word, but when you know that the head of the government, the prime minister, was the minister of the water resources, this really something weird. I mean, the dam. We didn't wake up in the morning and find Ethiopia is building a dam. This is a huge project, been taking several years, and we know it. Why he didn't take any action throughout the year? Why they are acting as if they were taken by surprise? This is really weird. I couldn't understand it. This from one side. This shows you how the system is decaying. This shows you how the regime is really a failure. Look at every perspective in the life. Look at the average man living standard. It's going down. Look at for example at the government. You see there are over 12,000 employees have been replaced. Look at recently at the Ministry of Culture, for example. Instead of walking toward more liberties and more freedom and joining the free world, that the state shouldn't have an influence or intervention in the media and in the culture scene. No, he appointing a conservative Islamist as a minister and sending his allies to beat up the peaceful demonstrators. This is really a failure.
Mr. Farid, you've mentioned that the option of having a referendum is not really a realistic option, and we probably should be having early presidential elections.
Indeed.
Now the question is, if we're going to have early presidential elections, do you think that President Morsi would be also able to run in this early presidential elections, or would he even be excluded? Because a lot of people are saying that for the president to step down, it's really far-fetched. However, if he's going to go through a referendum, it's probably more realistic. Or if he's going to take part in early presidential elections, that's probably going to be more realistic. What do you think?
I believe he definitely shouldn't be running again, because the people had marched down and saying, okay, down with Dr. Morsi and his regime, and we are demanding for an early presidential elections. It doesn't make any sense that he participates, and I believe that Brotherhood and the FG party are more wiser than that, and I presume definitely he wouldn't run for
yes.
presidential election.
Mr. Naseem, one final question because we're running out of time. There is a scenario that these protests will probably be peaceful and things will go smoothly and it will be a proper way of voicing your point of view. There's another scenario that it's going to turn violent.
Yes.
If it does turn violent, do you think that the Ministry of Interior will be able to really sustain the security situation on the streets, or do you think the military will probably, the armed forces will have to intervene?
No, I don't think it will be peaceful. We have similar situations with the Muslim Brotherhood and know how they will act against, and know what their actions will be. And I think that the policemen will not interfere. They will not involve anymore this time. I'm sure of that.
Yes.
I'm sure they will not involve it this time. And the army situation, I can't comment. I don't know. I don't know what they will do actually. But I hope they will check. They will pick the right side this time.
Yes. Well, definitely, ladies and gentlemen, June the 30th is almost 19 days away, not a long time to wait and see what happens on June the 30th and what will happen in the meantime leading up to the June the 30th planned protest. By this we come to the end of the first segment of tonight's daily debate. But before we go and head to our second segment, I'd like to thank our very distinguished guest, Mr. Mohammed Farid, member of the Supreme Council of Al-Masriyin Al-Ahrar Party. I would also like to thank Mr. Joseph Nussim, the head chief of the youth organization and member of the political bureau of the Front Party. Gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us this evening. Ladies and gentlemen, now it's time to check out the second topic of tonight's daily debate regarding the deteriorating economy that Egypt is suffering from in light of all the political instability and unrest that is taking place in the country. We'll be right back right after this short break.